No, he has told my daughter, I'm not your daddy, go find your daddy.
What happens when doubt and grief collide in a marriage? A husband's suspicions, a wife's heartache, and two children caught in the middle. In today's story, we'll uncover the truth behind a family's unraveling and the shocking revelation that could change everything. Stay tuned, because this courtroom drama is far from over. In this case, we dive into the emotionally charged and intense courtroom drama involving a married couple, Mr. and Mrs. Wells. The tension in the room is palpable as both sides are battling, not only with their own personal grief, but also with deeply rooted doubts and accusations. The case centers around the paternity of two young children, and the emotional weight of the situation is undeniable.
Why do you believe you are not the father?
But, Your Honor, I heard rumors that she was cheating on me.
Mr. Wells has been plagued with suspicions of infidelity and doubts regarding whether the children are truly his. The core question that looms over this entire case is whether Mr. Wells is the father of his children, or if the doubts that have been festering in his heart are justified. As rumors swirl and grief continues to overshadow their marriage, we are left to question whether trust can truly be restored, and if the truth about the children's paternity will finally be revealed. This suspense-filled journey of betrayal, loss, and the search for answers will keep you at the edge of your seat. Mrs. McDaniel and Mr. Wells have been married since 2014, but their journey together began much earlier in a rather unconventional manner. Their first meeting took place at a convention center where Mr. Wells, in an unexpected yet charming move, asked his 5-year-old nephew to approach Mrs. McDaniel and ask for her phone number. This funny, almost innocent beginning set the tone for their relationship, one that was full of surprises and unpredictable moments. Despite the unconventional start, the two connected over long phone conversations, and their relationship quickly deepened, with both of them falling in love. They met in person, built a strong bond, and over time, that initial spark grew into a committed relationship that eventually led to marriage. However, as they started building their life together, doubts and external pressures began to creep in. This perfect image of a happily married couple started to crack when Mr. Wells was exposed to rumors about his wife. Over time, these whispers and doubts became more than just background noise. They began to take a toll on their relationship. Even with their strong foundation, Mr. Wells couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His mind, once sure of the love they shared, started to entertain ideas of infidelity and mistrust. This growing suspicion, combined with the grief from the loss of their first child, created an emotional storm that threatened to tear them apart.
Due to rumors, your husband is denying your 2-year-old daughter, Ava Wells, and 18-month-old son, Daryl Wells. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor.
As the rumors escalated, it wasn't just the emotional weight of loss that caused a rift. It was the foundation of trust itself that was being called into question. The stage was set for a confrontation of emotions, doubts, and the truth. The tragic loss of their firstborn son has cast a dark shadow over Mr. and Mrs. Wells's lives, leaving both of them emotionally devastated. The weight of such a loss is unimaginable, and for any couple, the grief would be overwhelming. For Mrs. McDaniel, this was not just the loss of a child, it was the breaking of a dream that she and Mr. Wells had built together. As they both struggled to cope with the pain, the emotional strain began to seep into their relationship. The shared sorrow that should have brought them closer instead created a chasm between them. Mrs. McDaniel felt alone in her grief, with her husband's denial of their children intensifying the isolation she was already experiencing. The conflict intensified when Mrs. McDaniel openly expressed how her husband's doubts about the paternity of their children made the grieving process even harder. She explained how, instead of supporting her through the loss of their son, Mr. Wells was now questioning the very existence of their family. This denial in her eyes seemed to fuel the grief even more, causing a divide that neither of them could ignore. The emotional bond they once shared was now fraught with suspicion, and the love that had once united them seemed to be unraveling at the seams. The question looms heavily. Are these doubts, these rumors, really just the result of external gossip, or is there something deeper at play? Could Mr. Wells's doubts about his children be rooted in something other than mere rumors? The emotional confusion and strain on their marriage have reached a boiling point, and with every passing day, it seems like the truth is slipping further out of reach.
Yeah, so she just decides she's gonna call you out the blue and tell you your wife is a fop.
For Mr. Wells, the doubts that began to surface about his marriage started almost as soon as their first child was born. The rumors surrounding his wife's possible infidelity were not only troubling, but also persistent, leaving Mr. Wells in a state of constant suspicion. These whispers, which he had heard from various sources over the years, had been enough to make him second-guess the foundation of his relationship. It wasn't just one person spreading these rumors. It seemed like they were coming from every direction, creating a whirlwind of doubt that he couldn't easily escape. However, it was one particular conversation that seemed to change everything. Wells's ex-girlfriend reached out to him with a warning that shook him to his core. In a moment of unexpected contact, she bluntly told him that his wife, Mrs. McDaniel, might not be as faithful as he believed. The ex didn't just casually drop the information. She pointed out the possibility that their child might not even be his. This revelation hit Mr. Wells hard, and the shock of it left him reeling. His mind was already fragile from the emotional toll of his loss, and now the trust he had placed in his wife began to crack under the weight of this unexpected warning. The pain of grief was no longer his only burden. Now he was left to question everything about his marriage, his children, and even his role as a father. As these rumors took root in Mr. Wells' mind, a deep internal struggle began to unfold. The more he thought about the rumors, the more they seemed to make sense, feeding the doubt that had already begun to bloom in his heart. But the big question remained. Are these rumors true? Or is this simply the result of a heartbroken husband who, in his grief, is losing touch with reality? The line between suspicion and truth had never been blurrier, and the tension only continued to grow as each new piece of information pushed him further away from the woman he once trusted. One of the most pivotal moments in Mr. Wells' growing mistrust occurred during a night out at a club. What should have been a simple social outing quickly turned into an emotional minefield when Mr. Wells witnessed an uncomfortable interaction between his wife, Mrs. McDaniel, and another man. As the night went on, Mr. Wells noticed that his wife was dancing with a man who seemed to be enjoying the attention a bit too much. Initially, he tried to brush it off, but then, in a shocking and invasive moment, the man touched her inappropriately. The incident was enough to stop Mr. Wells in his tracks, his heart sinking as he watched the interaction unfold. The discomfort he felt from witnessing that moment was not just about jealousy. It triggered a deeper sense of betrayal that he hadn't anticipated. His mind began to race, replaying the incident over and over again. The once confident husband who trusted his wife was now filled with doubt. Was this just a one-time mistake, a poor decision in a social setting? Or was there something more to it, something deeper beneath the surface? The image of his wife being touched by another man haunted him, and the doubts that had been lurking in the back of his mind were now front and center. This moment, as innocent as it might have seemed to others, was the spark that fueled his suspicions and added fuel to the fire of mistrust that had been growing for some time. The question now is, was this incident just a fleeting lapse in judgment, or was it the beginning of a crack in their relationship that would only widen as time went on? Was the mistrust Mr. Wells felt truly grounded in this single event? Or was it the result of something much deeper, something that had been building for months? The answer to that question would shape the course of their future as they stood on the precipice of either healing or irreparable damage. As the tension in the Wells household continued to mount, Mr. Wells' doubts about the paternity of their children began to take a more tangible form. He started questioning the physical appearance of their daughter Ava, noting that she did not resemble him in any obvious way.
He's too light for one. No, the ginger hair, and then like the way his head is shaped. I bought an exhibit of the what of his hair? The way his head is shaped.
While it's natural for children to have traits from both parents, Mr. Wells couldn't shake the feeling that Ava's features, especially her facial structure, didn't match his. The lack of a clear resemblance became a focal point for his growing suspicions, with each passing day feeding the doubts he already had. The connection that he once felt with his children now felt strained, and every look at Ava seemed to deepen his uncertainty. However, it was the issue surrounding the birth certificate of their second child, Daryl, that truly escalated the situation. Despite being married at the time of Daryl's birth and being present in the delivery room, Mr. Wells found himself excluded from the birth certificate. His name, the name of the child's father, was conspicuously missing from the official document. This omission wasn't just a minor clerical error, it raised a question that couldn't be ignored. Why was Mr. Wells's name left off the birth certificate, especially considering he had been there for the birth and had signed the necessary paperwork at the time? This seemingly small detail only added to the mounting sense of distrust, as it seemed to imply a deliberate act. The question now hung in the air. Did Mrs. McDaniel intentionally leave Mr. Wells's name off the birth certificate? Was this a sign that she wasn't as certain of his paternity as she claimed to be, or was there a deeper, more complicated reason behind it? This question alone created a wave of tension in their marriage, leaving both parties struggling with the truth. Could there be more to the story, or was it simply an honest mistake? This lingering uncertainty became a critical turning point in the case, as Mr. Wells grappled with the possibility that his suspicions were not just based on rumors, but on real evidence that could shake the very foundation of his family. As the moment of truth approached, the tension in the courtroom was almost unbearable. Both Mr. Wells and Mrs. McDaniel sat on the edge of their seats, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on them. For Mr. Wells, the emotional toll of his doubts had been mounting for months. The thought of possibly being wrong, of questioning his own children, haunted him with every passing second. At the same time, Mrs. McDaniel was suffering in her own way. She had endured not only the grief of losing a child, but also the pain of her husband's denial of their other children. The emotional strain on their marriage was evident, and the question of paternity had further fractured their connection. The DNA test results, which would provide the answers they so desperately needed, loomed large. The audience, just like the couple, waited in silence, anxious to know if the truth would restore peace or deepen the divide. Would Mr. Wells finally get the confirmation he needed, or would this be the moment that shattered everything? The anticipation was palpable. Today, they would finally find out. Is Mr. Wells truly the father of his children? The answer was about to change everything, and as the judge prepared to announce the results, the room fell into a heavy silence. As the judge prepares to announce the DNA test results, the courtroom is filled with anticipation, the air thick with suspense. Every eye is fixed on the judge, waiting for the moment that will either confirm or shatter the doubts that have been weighing on Mr. Wells. Finally, the judge speaks. According to the results, Mr. Wells, you are the biological father of both children. The words hang in the air for a moment, and relief washes over Mr. Wells. His shoulders relax, his face softens as the heavy burden of doubt finally lifts. The emotional toll of the last few months melts away, and for the first time in a long while he feels a sense of peace. On the other side, Mrs. McDaniel exhales deeply, her body releasing the tension that had built up over the course of the case. She is grateful, but her emotions are complex. The relief of having her husband's doubts finally cleared is mixed with the pain of everything they've been through. As the weight of the moment settles in, the couple shares a quiet understanding. However, even with this victory, Mr. Wells acknowledges that healing their relationship will take time. Despite the relief of knowing the truth, he admits that he still needs to work on restoring the bond they once had. He is determined to move forward, to heal with his family, but the road ahead will require patience and effort. In this case, we saw a husband caught in a web of doubt and rumors, struggling to hold on to his trust, and a wife desperately trying to keep her family together amidst the storm of uncertainty. Mr. Wells' growing suspicions, fueled by external whispers and his own fears, clashed with Mrs. McDaniel's desire to protect her children and save her marriage. This emotional journey serves as a powerful reminder: never let rumors or misunderstandings infiltrate your relationship to the point where they harm the ones you love. Relationships thrive on trust, and without it, even the strongest bonds can start to unravel. Now, we turn it over to you, the viewers. What do you think? Should Mr. Wells have trusted his wife more, or were his doubts justified? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below.